It's kinda crazy.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rochelle and this is my channel Good Morning Dreamer, and I kind of felt like calling myself out here and doing something a little bit different. So as you know, I'm new to Booktube, and this year I kind of started changing my channel towards putting out more bookish content. And one thing about me is that when I get really interested or hyper fixated on something, I have to go all out. And because of that, as you might have seen from some of my book hauls, I went all out and I got a bunch of books. So I thought it would be fun to do a little video where I show you all the books I got during my time on Booktube so far, which, keep in mind, has only been a couple of months, and also give you a little tour of some of the bookshelves that I have. So obviously there's a bookshelf here, and then on the opposite wall over behind the camera is another bookshelf that I have, which has some books that I have categorized in a certain way, as well as books that I have put together for my TBR, or the ones that I feel like I'm most in the mood to potentially read. And then I do of course have other bookshelves, but the ones up here mostly contain the ones that I purchased while on Booktube. So I think what we'll do is we'll possibly go shelf by shelf, and then I'll probably put the books back on the shelf before continuing to the next one, because I don't like messes. And I like sat in this chair for a good 5 minutes just thinking about if I took all the books off of the shelves and then stacked them around me, I was just a little bit overwhelmed. So we will not be doing that. I'll just kind of go section by section and kind of explain how I have them all categorized. Currently, I'm not sure if I'm 100% satisfied with how I have the books arranged, but for now, this is how it's going to be. Also, when we go through some of the books, there's a few that I did not purchase while on Booktube, but I have up here just because I do have plans to read some of these books, and I feel like if they're not in an area where I will see them constantly, they will be completely erased from my mind. But I will let you know which books those are, so you don't include them in the total count. I did also count all the books before I filmed this video because I am bad with numbers, so I'll give the total in the end, probably in the thumbnail as well. So long spiel over with, let us go through the chunk of books. So we're going to start with the chunk that is on the far side over here. So let me grab them. I also have a sleeping Cicero under my chair right now, so I'm trying my best not to move and disturb him. I'm not quite sure the best way to do this, so bear with me. We'll probably figure it out as we go through this. So the section I have here is kind of like my shrine in a way to Hannah Bonham Young. And these are all the books that I have of her. I have a few duplicate copies of some books. So I have this stunning copy of Next to You, and it has these gorgeous spray edges. As you can see, it is currently in the plastic. I did buy this off of Pango, and I think since I've already read the book, I'm not going to take it out of this just to like keep it in its prime. And so the other copy of this book is actually this one. So I have two copies, and no regrets, honestly. But yeah, I have a little shrine to Hannah Bonham Young that is kind of in the far corner. And it's mostly because I also didn't really know where I wanted to put it, but I wanted it to be in an area that I saw. And it doesn't really fit with the rest of the category of books I have on that shelf. But you know what? We make do with what it is. It's my bookshelf, and I make it how I want it to be. And so then I have these 3 different versions of Out on a Limb. So this is the exclusive one that actually came out before I actually ever heard of this book, and I purchased it off of Pango. This is the indie cover of Out on a Limb. So this one is not available anymore. And then the redesigned cover of Out on a Limb that came out earlier this month, and I love it. I love how the characters Win and Bo look, and I love that you can see his prosthetic. It's so good. So yeah, I have those books up here as well in my Hannah Bonham Young shrine. And then last book in my collection for Hannah Bonham Young is Next of Kin. And this is probably my second favorite book that she's written. I don't have any other versions of this one, but knowing me, I'll probably have to snag a few others if I do come across them. And then last one in that little corner is my copy of The Unmaking of June Farrow. This is the Owl Box edition, and I love this edition so much. It's absolutely gorgeous. There is another version of this book that I would love to get my hands on, just because I did really love this story so much. But yeah, I have this one kind of categorized with my Out on a Limb books because this book doesn't really fit in any other sections that I have on my bookshelves. So putting it right there kind of felt right. Plus it's so stunning that I wanted to be able to like look at my shelf and see it, and it just gives a huge serotonin boost. Next, we're gonna go into my dystopian section. So the next few books that I'm going to show you are actually not ones that I purchased this year through Booktube. I think if anything, I got the last book in the series because it took quite a few months before it came out. Next series would actually be this chonker, which is I don't have big enough hands for it, but it's the Arcana Chronicles by Cressley Cole. I love this book series so much. I have not finished reading it yet, so there are 7 books total in this series, and I have just kind of been holding off because I don't want the world to end, but at the same time I do want to actually finish it. So yeah, that's another reason why it's on my shelf. I love the series so much. It is dystopian, it involves tarot cards, and to be honest, I don't think I've seen anyone on Book Talk or Booktube talk about this series, but I do plan on rereading it, at least kind of getting a refresher before I actually do read the last book. So that will be probably coming up in the future. But for now, they are on my shelf, and these books, aside from the last one, are not included. But oh, let me show you the covers so that you can at least see them. So the first one is Poison Princess, and these were the original covers, this one and the second one, before I think they redesigned them, which really upsets me. I don't usually like real people on the cover of my books, but I don't know, I really liked these ones, and it upset me so much that they changed it. And then we have Endless Night, which is the second book, and then Dead of Winter, and this is when they start changing the covers. Day Zero, and this one is almost like a prequel for the book series, so it kind of talks about what happened before the flash that started it all, and goes from the point of view of some of the other characters that you get to meet in the story. And then Arcana Rising, The Dark Calling, and then From the Grave. So this is the very last book. This one took so long to come out, and yeah, that's another reason why like I never did finish the series, is because I was waiting for this one to come out, and by that point I'd already read the other books and kind of moved along from the series. So it was partly I don't want the series to end, partly I can't finish the series. So yeah, one of my all-time favorite book series. And then I have the Shatter Me series. So I never actually read this series, but I love Dystopian, and I've heard so many good things about it. So I have been slowly getting books from the series, as you can tell from Book Outlet, because I have a few haul videos where some of these have been included. So I've just kind of been working my way through the series, and I've noticed that there's a lot of like 1.5, 2.5 books in the series. When I pull up how many are I feel like I'm saying series so many times. I'm so sorry, but there's no other word for it. So when I've looked up to see how many books are in the series, it just seems like there's so many, because there's like the 1.5 or the 2.5, like I said earlier. And so it might take some time before I get all of them, but I have Shatter Me, and I'm pretty okay with getting these in the paperback copies. I know I should probably read these books before trying to get all of them, but at the same time, I feel like I will actually enjoy the series. So yeah, I'm kind of collecting all of them before I get the full series. And it does look like it has them in the front cover, which is nice. And I love the art on the cover, like just the different makeup around the eye. It's stunning. So then Unravel Me, and then I was gonna say Untie Me. It says Unite Me, Ignite Me. I think this one almost is my favorite. It kind of just gives me Poison Ivy vibes in a way, and I love Poison Ivy. Soon you will see my comic book collection, probably not in this video, but you will see my comic book collection and understand why I love Poison Ivy so much. We're still going in Dystopian. This is probably going to be 100 years long, so I apologize. We have Snow Globe, which you have seen in some of my recent videos. And then the Voices in the Snow, or Black Winter series. So here's the first book and the second book. The third book I actually have on my TBR shelf, so that's why it's not in this pile. And then this is the fourth book. And then we have the After the Plague series. So Broken, and then Found, which is the third book. Second book is on my TBR shelf. And then Safe, which is the fourth book. And the fifth book, which is Haven. And I think another one came out. So I think there's 6 books in total. And the thing that is so frustrating for me is the fact that the Kindle covers for that series look like this. And they're beautiful. And I feel like it's a crime that we don't get to have those editions for paperback versions. I don't know if anyone else is here with me on that, but yeah. But yeah, we're slowly working our way through that series. And then I have Dread Nation, which I can't remember if I got it from Amazon or Book Outlet, but I've heard that there's zombies in this one, so I'm very excited. I haven't actually read a series with zombies that I've really loved, and as a zombie lover, I feel like that's a crime. So hopefully in the future, we get the chance to read this and see if it fulfills all my zombie needs in a book. All right, and then we're almost done with the Dystopian shelf. So then I have All of Us Are Villains, Scythe, so this is the first book, and I'm so sorry, I just realized I haven't been saying the authors' names for half of the books that I've been holding. So this is Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and I've heard great things about this series. I've never had the chance to read it, so I did manage to get the first book with Book Outlet. And then The Chaperone by M. Hendricks. This one is dystopian as well, and I am very excited to read this. It is a chunky one too. Then we have The Gracier by Kim Liggett. But yeah, have The Gracier. And then last one on my dystopian shelf is Into the Mist by PC Cast. And this is an apocalyptic type of story. I do really enjoy books by PC and Kristen Cast. And you won't see the other books that I have of them, or have of theirs in this video because they're in a different bookshelf. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how this one is. So, first shelf complete. Next shelf. Oh my god. Try saying that 5 times fast. I want my books to be in the same order as when they're over here because I currently do somewhat like how they're organized. So yeah, that's why we're doing chunks at a time. So next 2 books are Tender Beasts by Lizelle Sambury, and then Delicious Monsters, also by Lizelle Sambury. And I love the covers of both of these books. This one was very much one that I was anticipating. This was one of the books that I was very excited to read this year, so I'm very excited for it. And I also forgot to mention, so the second shelf is kind of more horror thrillers or kind of planty covers. So the theme is kind of all over the place, but mostly horror. And then we have The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, and then A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I felt like these two needed to be next to each other on the shelf. And then I have The Dark Place by Brittany S. Lewis. She is Haunting by Trang Tan Tran, and the cover is really pretty. I felt like it really needed to be next to this cover just because of how the books look. And then House of Hollows by Crystal Sutherland. I've really wanted to read this book, so I was very excited when I managed to get my hands on it. And I felt like this went really well with the other 2 books just because of the way the covers look. Then I have White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. And now that I'm looking at this, I realized there was another book by Tiffany D. Jackson. So I'm actually going to put this with Weight of Blood because I do like having authors' books that they write together if I can. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of reorganization, I guess. And then I have The Sacrifice by Rin Chupico, and I've already done a reading of this book, but I felt like this went really well with the whole planty covers for the faces. So these ones are a little bit easier to grab just because they're not as chunky, so I can get more in the same batch. So then I have Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. Very excited to read this one. I think I'm gonna have this on my Summerween or Full Moon readathon. There's a lot of different reading challenges coming up the month of June through August, so I have a bunch of those that I'm going to be doing, and I believe this one is one that I plan on including. And then I have Rock Paper Scissors by Alice Feeney, Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates, and then Dead of Winter, also by Darcy Coates, and The Carrow Haunt by Darcy Coates. So I know that these Darcy Coates books are down on this shelf versus this one. This one, I felt like the Black Winter series went a lot better with dystopian stuff, so having it in that category. And it's kind of above where Darcy Coates books are on this shelf, so I felt like it was kind of combined together in a way that satisfied my brain, but also organized in a different way. And plus, like, I don't know, those other books, they're all like white that I have grouped together, and it's just something so satisfying about how they're placed together. I don't know. Everyone has different ways of organizing their books, and this is kind of how mine is. It's like themes, but somewhat colors, and then authors. It totally makes sense, right? And then That's Not My Name by Megan Lally, The Girls Who Disappeared by Claire Douglas. Then we have The Haunting by Natasha Preston, and then The Haunted by Bentley Little. It's definitely a little book. It's perfect for my hands. Perfect hand size. And then Little Girls by Ronald Malfi. This one was actually one that I did not purchase during my time on Booktube, so this one is not included from the count as well. Then Stay Awake by Megan Golden, Five Survive by Holly Jackson, The Quiet Tenet by Clemence McCallan. I feel like I struggle every single time when I try to bring up this book. And then A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. And then we're almost done with this shelf. Yeah! Hairpin Ridge by Taylor Adams. Midnight in the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. Then I have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Then I have The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. Then The Lake House by Sarah Beth Durst. And I love the cover of this one. It's so creepy. And the reason why that one isn't necessarily with the plant covers is because I felt like it went with the theme of the books that had house in the cover. Then I have The Manor House by Jilly McMillan. And then The Last Refuge by Christina Bassi. I don't know how to say the last name, so I'll just hold it up here. But I love the cover of this one. And that one's probably more fantasy-like, but I felt like it kind of went with like the house theme, so that's why it's kind of over there. Yeah, my organization makes sense, right? I don't know, but I like it. Do you want to say hi? I love Cicero. So for those of you that have not guessed by now in the time that you have seen Cicero in videos, he is named after Cicero from Skyrim and the Dark Brotherhood, because Charles, my fiance, and I are complete nerds. So we're gonna go to the next shelf, and this one is kind of like psychological thrillers and delves into fantasy. So I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jameson Shea. Then Together We Rot by Skyla Ardent. And some of these books, like, they don't fully fit, but I didn't know where else to place them, so that's kind of why they're where they're at. And then I have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, and then Never Lie by Frida McFadden. And then I have My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. So then I have Lisa Jewell, None of This is True. Then Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. My Darling Girl by Jennifer McMahon. The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon. Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. And then The Good Sister and the Younger Wife, also by Sally Hepworth. And then I have Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. Arsenic and Adobo, and also Homicide and Hollow Hollow by Mia P. Mansala, Butcher and Blackbird by Brian Weaver. And then this one is not a book that I got during my time on Booktube, but I felt like it kind of fit to be placed next to Butcher and Blackbird. So this one is Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. And then this one was also not bought while I was on Booktube, but I have it also organized here. And it's A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, and it's by Sarah Hawley. All right, next chunk. So I have Vivid by Ashley Bustamante, Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell, Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole, and then The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland, and it's the Evernight edition. It's very pretty. And then Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. Then I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts, A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair, and this one was also not bought during my time on Booktube, but I do really want to read it, especially since the other books I believe are out now. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride, and this is by Roshani Chokshi. Hopefully I'm saying that right, probably not. And then Belladonna and Foxglove by Adeline Grace. And then another book that was not bought during my time on Booktube, but felt right to include with some of these other books, and it's The Thorns Remain by Gia Harwood, and the cover is really pretty. Has this like foil. All right, and then last shelf on this particular bookshelf, and then we will go and move to the other one. So I have Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsupolu, Her Dark Wings by Melinda Salisbury, The Bone Witch by Rin Chupico, and then A Tempest of Tea by Hafas Fasil, and then A Drop of Venom by Sajini Patel. I really love this cover. Then I have A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown, Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen, and then Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Still need to read the sequel. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of go into a mermaidy section that I made, and I will tell you which books were not purchased while I was on Booktube and then which ones were. First up is the Water Song series by Amanda Hawking. This was one of my all-time favorite book series about sirens. I remember just eating up the entire series when I got each book, and I loved it, and I kind of want to reread it at some point. So first one would be Wake, and then we have Lullaby, and then Elegy, which is the last one in the series. And then the other mermaid series that I have is this one, and I didn't buy it during my time on Booktube, but I did want to reread it because I honestly cannot remember anything about it, but I remember that I really loved it. So first one is Siren by Trisha Rayburn. I kind of have them out of order. I think the next one is Undercurrents, then Dark Water. But yeah, I'd really like to reread these because I can't remember anything about the story, but I remember I did really love them. And then the last three that I have out of the mermaid section would be Blue Reflections by Amanda Casey, Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen, A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow, and then I have A Cursed Kiss by Jenny Hickman. It has these beautiful foil edges. Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't think I'm saying that right, but it's very purple. Oh, and then these books are part of the ones that I did get on Booktube. So once you saw Blue Reflections, that started the books I got on Booktube again. And then I have Garden of the Cursed by Katie Rose Poole. Alright, and then last few books on this shelf would be Frozen Hearts and Death Magic, and Iron Hearts and Dragon Magic by De La Tao, and then The Pirate King's Thief by Alicia Klapchek. Then I have Elegy of Twilight by Angela J. Ford, and Curse of the Thorn King by Lizette Marshall. Alright, and that finished up this bookshelf, so let me reposition you and we'll go through the other one. So next we're gonna go through my other shelf. So I took down some of the books that I already had up here, but up on this top part of the shelf I usually keep all of my TBR books, and then just a few extra ones that I'm planning on giving away as presents. So hopefully the people that I'm planning on giving these books away to, they don't watch this. So we'll see. But Shatter Me, which you already previously saw, somehow I managed to get 2 copies, so I'm going to be gifting this other one. And then I also got another copy of My Heart is a Chainsaw, so I'm also gifting this one. And then this was from my TBR for this month, The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. You saw another version that I'll put a picture of right here, but this is my other copy that I got of it. And yeah, so this was on my TBR shelf. I did finish reading it. And then A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. This one is also on my TBR shelf that I said up here. Lost, which is the second book for the After the Plague series by Imogen Keeper. Whispers in the Mist by Darcy Coates, and this is the third book in the Black Winter series. And then One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. Dragonfruit by Makia Lucier, and it has these beautiful sprayed edges. And Between Mischief and Magic by Marissa Serrao. Fragran, so this manga. And then Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. Well Met by Jen DeLuca. Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron, and I think this is the Owl Crate version, and it's so pretty. God Killer by Hannah Kaner, which I am currently in the process of reading for my TBR. The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, and then I can't remember if I got this one while I've been on Booktube or fairly close to it, but this one is A Sprinkling of Murder by Daryl Wood Gerber, and it's very cute and cottagey. Alright. So then I guess we'll start from over here and keep going down. So you would have seen these in my one book haul that I did recently, and they are the Among the Hidden series by Margaret Peterson Haddix. So I got all the books in the series. So we have Among the Hidden, Among the Imposters, Among the Betrayed, Among the Barons, Among the Enemy, Among the Free, and Among the Brave. And then a couple of books that were gifted to me would be Poison Ivy, The Virtuous Cycle. So this comic, I haven't actually read it yet, so it's still in the foil. And then also Joker, One Operation Joker. I love the Gotham City villains. I'm not much of a superhero girly, but you give me the villains and I will just eat their stories up. I feel like their backstories are so fascinating from a psychological standpoint, and I collect a lot of Poison Ivy comics because I adore her. And then I have The Mighty Nine Origins, Jester Lavore. I am a critter because of my fiance, so I've been watching Critical Role. I finished campaign 1, I think, before the beginning of this year, and so now I'm on campaign 2. And I've had so many people that say I'm very similar to Jester because I love sweets, I love animals and cute things, and I guess just my personality reflects a lot of Jester. So I'm very excited to eventually read this. I probably won't be reading it until I finish campaign 2 because I believe there are spoilers in this one. And then I have Crumbs by Diane Sterling, and I believe, yeah, this is a webtoon, and it's very, very thick. It just looked really cute and cozy, so I had to pick it up. But yeah, now you can see why, like, there's not really a general theme that's really working for these shelves. Alright, so then some of these books that are on the shelf over here are ones that I've heard from influencers or celebrities, that type of thing, and then just kind of is a little bit all over the place because I don't know where exactly to put them. So that's kind of what's in this chunk right here. So I have Pembrim, The Hidden Alcove by Brie Lenehan, and this is from a person that was on YouTube, but I think predominantly posts on Instagram. She does a lot of body positivity posts that I really love and appreciate, and I found out that she had wrote a book years ago, so I was like, okay, we'll pick it up. So I'll insert a picture of her because you might recognize her face versus like her name in this. And then I have The Gale by Lo Mayer, and I heard about this one through this author's TikTok, so I decided to pick it up. I believe she said it was dystopian. And then Wicked Cruel Things by Emma Lynn Ellis. This was another one that I found on TikTok on the author's page. Then I have Catcher by Kaylin Nicholson. I love Kaylin Nicholson. I've been following her, I think, since my college days, and this was her first book that she wrote. I know she does plan on eventually writing the second book, but she does have a son and is currently pregnant with her second son, so I don't know when the next one will be released. I did start this one at one point and then just kind of fell off, probably because of college work and everything. But yeah, so I have this copy right here, and I thought the cover is just gorgeous. All right, and then I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I have this one. I'm not usually someone that reads books that celebrities write about their lives or anything like that, but I did really like Jeanette McCurdy and watching her as Sam on iCarly, and I was just very intrigued and interested in this, and I've heard lots of people really loved this, so that's why I have a copy. And then I have The Rural Diaries by Hilary Burton Morgan, and this is one, oh, I forgot to mention, Catcher, and this I did not buy during my time on Booktube. So The Rural Diaries I actually purchased during pandemic and when it started, because I believe that's when she released this book, and I just loved her even more. I was a very, 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 very delayed fan of One Tree Hill. I watched it when it was finally available to stream, because growing up in a small town, I didn't get a lot of TV channels, so I never got the chance to watch it. And so finally got to the chance to read this. I also love her husband, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and just reading this kind of gave me a really cool inside look on the type of people that they both are. And I just love how down to earth they are, how much they care for their small town, the arts around them, and just caring for the people around them as well. So I loved this book. And then I have The Cottage Fairy Companion by Paola Merrill from YouTube. I love her so much, and during my time of living alone during the pandemic, she definitely helped get me through a lot of that time. I just adore this person's energy so much. But this was the first book that she wrote, and it has like a lot of different things like DIYs and stories during her time of rural living on her own. She is now married and just had her first baby, so she isn't currently posting any videos, but I will leave her information down below. She is probably one of my favorite channels to go and watch, especially when I just need to get away and gain a better aspect on life, I guess. And then this one I didn't get during my time on Booktube. It's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I didn't really know where to put it, but I haven't read it yet, so it's just kind of on this shelf. And then the same with The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. And then books that I actually did get while on Booktube would be Dear Medusa by Olivia A. Cole. I love this book. It's one of the few books that I've annotated, and yeah, it was such a good read. And I did have it in a book recap, so I'll include it here. And then I have Where You See Yourself by Claire Forrest. And this is actually a book that I plan on including for a video for Disability Pride Month. So this one over here has a lot of disability representation, and yeah, that's kind of why it's all grouped together over here, even though some of the categories or the genres would have fit elsewhere. So these books you'll probably see again on a video for Disability Pride Month, but I have Give Me a Sign by Anna Sorrentino, Next to You by Dulcie Dameron, and then Always Only You by Chloe Leese. I don't know if I'm saying some of these names right, so I apologize. And then I have A Time to Dance by Padma Venkatraman, and this one is an amputee one. Then I have Where Shadows Lie by Allegra Pescatore, and this one is a fantasy with a wheelchair user, so I'm very interested on this one, and it's a thick one. And then Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire, and I've heard that this has disability representation in it. I have not actually read it, and I believe it is like a series that has 7 or 9 books in it so far. And then Unseelie by Evelise Hausman, and I forgot what this has in it. Autistic. It has an autistic changeling. So this shelf is kind of like my disability, mental health, just representation in general. I really wanted it to kind of have its own section. So then I have Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, and this one has OCD in it. And then this series I actually got through like the first book was free on Kindle for a period of time, and then I just ended up getting the rest of the series. But it's basically like futuristic, main character becomes an amputee. So it's Girl of Flesh and Metal by Alicia Ellis. And then I have Clash of Flesh and Metal. And then the third book, War of Flesh and Metal. And I think there's actually 4 books in this series, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I just ended up going and buying the other ones. I believe the author of this actually is a lawyer, so I thought it was really cool. And then we're gonna go down to the next shelf, which is BIPOC. And I don't like either BIPOC authors or BIPOC characters. I think that's how I categorize this one. So I have Legendborn by Tracy Dion. Okay, and then Manila Takes Manhattan by Carla de Guzman. Maya's Laws of Love by Alina Khawaja. I loved this one. I got it through an ARC and I had to get a physical copy. And then A Pho Love Story by Lone Lee. The Wild Ones by Nafisa Assad. And I love this cover. It's so gorgeous. Then I have My Sister's Big Fat Indian Wedding by Sajini Patel. I really loved the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, if it gives the same vibes as that movie, I definitely would want to read this. So yeah. And then I have Something More by Jackie Kalile. Oh yeah, Autistic. I didn't have enough room to put this on the other shelf, so that's kind of why it's down here, because it also fits that category of BIPOC. This one does not fit the category, but this one has representation, so maybe it also was representation. I'm trying to remember my thought process because I organized this, like over a month ago, I think. But yeah, so it might be representation as well, just like in general for these. So Imogen, obviously, by Becky Albertalli, and this one has LGBTQ plus representation in it. Oh my gosh. And then I have Love and Resistance by Kara H.L. Chen. A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. Clementine and Danny Save the World and Each Other by Olivia Blackburn. And then American Batia by Anurada D. Rakurjar. I don't think I really butchered that. I'm so sorry. Okay, 2 more chunks and then we're done. And then this one just kind of had similar vibes, so that was why I placed them all together. So then we have The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Then Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. Venetia by Georgette Heyer, and I believe the main character's brother is autistic or on the spectrum. Can't quite remember, but that was the main reason why I picked this one up. The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brienne Randall. Last Call at the Local by Sarah Grender Ruiz. And this one has ADHD and OCD, so it technically should be in the other shelf, but as you can see, this one doesn't have a lot of space, so I kind of had to reorganize a little bit differently.
Is that my nuggies? Yes. Yeah. Hi, Nugs. What do you think?
Okay, baby, almost done. We're almost done.
We're almost done.
Okay. Yeah, you lay right there. Yeah, you lay there, honey. So then I have Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. And I did mostly get this because of the cover. I really loved the cover. Ready or Not by Kara Baston. Till There Was You by Lindsay Hammeroff. And then I Fell in Love with Hope. And Kali, I guess, is the pen name. Alright, and then we're on to the last few books. Right, Nuggie? Yeah. Alright, so the last section is basically my Phantom of the Opera inspired books, so I have them all grouped together. There's a few other ones that I realized I don't have, so I'm gonna have to put them on my wish list and everything. But yeah, so starting off, Phantom of the Opera, of course, by Gaston Leroux. And this is this version of the book, and I just think it's so beautiful. It very much reminds me of just the versions that you see on movie or for the musicals on the playbills, so I love how simplistic this one is. Then I have Phantom by Greer Rivers, and I heard about this one through TikTok, so automatically I had to go and grab this one. And this one is guaranteed that the Phantom gets the girl. So anyone that roots for the Phantom like me, I guess this is our book. This is the one that we want. And then I have Phantom Heart by Kelly Cree. The Musician and the Monster by Megan Van Dyke, and this one has like Phantom of the Opera inspired vibes in it, as well as Beauty and the Beast. And then last one is Music of the Night by Angela J. Ford. So yeah, that is basically a video showing all the books that I have purchased throughout my time on Booktube so far, just in the span of a couple months, as well as like a few other books that I've included just because they fit certain themes that I wanted to group the books together with, or I really want to read them in future videos. And so grand total of books that I got during the time I've been on Booktube is a total of 184 books. I have a problem. I 100% have a problem, which is why we are now on a book buying ban. There are going to be a few exceptions to the book buying ban. One of them is I have a future trip coming up with some of my friends. You might have heard about us referred to CozyCon if you watch Wade's channel on Twitch, but I am doing a trip to meet some of my besties that I met through Twitch and playing video games. So during that time, I will probably purchase books if I come across them, and then any pre-order books that I have that will be coming up in the next few months. But aside from that, we are not buying books. However, I have included my wish list of some of the books that I really would like to read down below. So books that are gifted do not count for this book ban. FYI, I think. So yeah, that's included there. But anyway, I am very, very toasty right now. I'm wearing You Are My Soul's Purpose shirt that is inspired by Out on a Limb, and it is toasty. It is raining here in Colorado, but inside my office under these filming lights, it is very toasty. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up and say that I love you all so much. Thank you so much for all the love on my videos and following me and supporting me. It means just more than I can put into words. I'm so over the moon. I love books, and I kind of fell out of my love of books for the longest time and rediscovered it this year. And just getting to read again has just filled up my cup more than you know. So getting to share that love with other people and just talking about books, sharing my problem of books and how many I've purchased, all of those things, it makes me so happy that there's other people that want to talk about books with me or just want to see my problem and potentially support my problem of buying books. So yeah, I just want to say I love you all so much. You are worthy and capable of amazing things, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye!
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two.